Luna, the mysterious young designer who arrived in Los Angeles like a breath of new air, has been the talk of Forrester Creations for months. Her daring designs, serene confidence, and secret sparkle in her eyes had captured everyone, including Will. He'd been captivated to her when they first met at the company's annual gala, where she wore one of her own creations, a flowing gown that shimmered like moonlight on water. Will, on the other hand, was not the type to fall easily. He'd been burnt before, most memorably by Electra, his previous fiancée, whose betrayal had left scars that he thought would never go. Electra. The name alone made his hands clench. She had been his everything, his companion, his muse, his future, until she vanished 2 years ago, leaving behind a cryptic note and a trail of unresolved questions. Will had spent months looking for her, only to discover she was living a double life with a competing fashion firm in Milan. The betrayal had hardened him, made him weary of love, yet something about Luna rekindled feelings he had long suppressed. Everything changed last night at the afterparty for Forrester Creations' spring showcase. The evening was a spectacular occasion, with champagne pouring and Los Angeles' elite mingling under crystal chandeliers. Luna had appeared, dazzling as ever, yet there was something off about her. Her normal warmth had been replaced by a humorous, even malicious energy. She offered Will a mint from a small silver tin, pressing it into his palm with her fingertips. "It's special," she'd murmured with a wink, her tone low and playful. "Trust me." Will didn't think much about it at the moment. He'd put the mint in his mouth, expecting the customary explosion of peppermint. Instead, a weird warmth washed over him, followed by a dizzying surge that made the room tilt. The lights appeared brighter, the music louder, and Luna, God, Luna, looked like an angel. Or perhaps not an angel. Perhaps she was Electra. Will's mind had played a terrible trick on him just as the mint melted on his tongue. Luna's dark hair, almond-shaped eyes, and the curve of her smile blended into Electra's face. He was positive it was her standing there in the flesh, tormenting him again. "Luna," he said, taking her hand, his voice full of anguish. "Or Electra? Is this indeed you?" Her eyes widened, a flicker of confusion crossing her face, before she chuckled softly and melodically. "Will, what are you talking about? I'm Luna. Are you okay?" But Will hadn't been fine. The mint, or whatever was in it, had blurred his judgment, blending past and present till he couldn't tell the difference. He had drawn her close, his hands framing her face, searching her eyes for answers. "Why did you abandon me?" he demanded, his voice breaking. "Why have you broken my heart?" The room seemed to spin faster, and the audience faded into a blur. Luna had attempted to withdraw, her countenance changing from amusement to concern. "Will, you are terrifying me. I'm not Electra. I'm Luna. Let us get you some water, okay?" But Will had not heard. He'd given her a desperate, seeking kiss that tasted of mint and remorse. She kissed him back briefly, her lips soft and sweet, but then pulled him away, her cheeks flushed. "Will, stop. This isn't correct." The rejection had jolted him out of his trance, allowing him to recognize what he'd done. The mint's effects were wearing off, leaving him with a pounding headache and a sinking sensation in his stomach. Luna was not Electra. She was Luna, and he had just embarrassed himself in front of half of Los Angeles' fashion elite. Now, standing in the Forrester mansion, Will replayed the incident in his head, each detail more horrifying than the previous. He apologized profusely, but Luna left the gathering without saying anything, her expression a mix of hurt and perplexity. He hadn't seen her since, and the guilt was consuming him. What had been inside that mint? And why had it made him see Electra in Luna's eyes? The sound of heels clicking on the marble floor interrupted his thoughts. He turned to watch Brooke Logan, the matriarch of Forrester Creations, descend the grand staircase. Her blonde hair was swept into an elegant updo, and her eyes had the knowing expression of someone who has seen a lot of drama. "Will," she replied, her voice warm but full of concern. "You don't look like you slept. What's happening?" Will ran his hand through his dark hair and exhaled sharply. "Brooke, I botched up. Big time." Brooke lifted an eyebrow and crossed her arms. "I heard about the situation at the party. Could you please fill me in?" He paused, then told the story, the mint, the delusion, and the kiss. Brooke listened closely, her face unreadable until he finished. Then she groaned and shook her head. "Oh, Will. You and your heart. It always gets you in trouble." "It wasn't my heart," he explained, annoyance coming into his voice. "It was the mint. Did something to me. Made me see things that were not there." Brooke's eyes narrowed. "A mint? From Luna?" He nodded. "She mentioned it was special. I thought she meant just some fancy candy, but it was more than that." Brooke pushed her lips into a narrow line. "Luna isn't the kind to play games like that. She's kind and sincere. However, she is also quite complicated. We don't know much about her." Will's stomach twisted. "What do you mean?" Brooke hesitated, looking around to verify they were alone. "Luna's past is rather mysterious. She showed up in Los Angeles. She has an impressive portfolio, yet she rarely discusses her background. Some individuals believe she is hiding something." Will frowned. "Do you think she drugged me?" "I'm not saying that," Brooke replied hurriedly, "but I think you should talk to her, figure out what happened, and take care, Will. You're not exactly in a stable situation right now." She was not mistaken. Since ELECTRA'S betrayal, Will had immersed himself into work, expanding his media empire while keeping his heart behind lock and key. But Luna had snuck through his defenses, and he was now paying the price. "I need to find her," he continued, his tone firm. "I need to apologize and figure out what the hell happened last night." Brooke nodded. "She's at the design studio today, but take it easy on her, Will. She is not Electra." The words hurt, but he nodded, grabbed his keys, and headed for the door. The journey to Forrester Creations was a blur, his mind racing with questions. What was inside that mint? Why did Luna give it to him? And why, despite everything, did he still feel drawn to her? When he arrived, the design studio was buzzing with activity. Seamstresses ran between sewing machines, fabric swatches cluttered every surface, and sketches pinned to the walls floated in the breeze from an open window. Luna was at the far end of the room, slumped over a drawing table, her dark hair twisted back into a messy bun. She appeared exhausted, with her usual vitality subdued. "Luna," Will called, his voice cutting through the studio noise. She froze, her pencil poised over the paper. She slowly turned to face him, her countenance guarded. "Will, what are you doing here?" "I need to talk to you," he continued, moving closer. "About last night." Her cheeks heated, and she looked about, evidently uneasy with the attention of the other designers. "Not here," she replied gently. "Let's go somewhere private." She brought him to a small office at the back of the studio and closed the door behind them. The place was tiny with bolts of fabric and mood boards, yet it was calm. Luna crossed her arms, meeting his gaze with a mix of defiance and tenderness. "I'm sorry about last night," Will murmured, his words flowing out before he could control them. "I am not sure what came over me. That mint messed with my head." Luna's expression softened only little. "I'm sorry too. I didn't intend for things to get out of hand." "What was in the mint, Luna?" he inquired, his voice quiet yet strong. "It wasn't all candy, was it?" She bit her lip hesitantly. "It was a herbal blend. Something that my aunt used to cook. It's designed to make you feel relaxed and nostalgic. However, it is not intended to cause hallucinations." "Nostalgic?" Will repeated, his face furrowed. "It made me think you were Electra. My ex-fiancé. That is not nostalgia, Luna. That is insane." Her eyes widened, and for a brief time she appeared shocked. "Electra? Had no idea. I swear, Will, I did not aim to hurt you. I thought it would just relax you and make you smile. You've been quite tense recently." He examined her, looking for any indication of fraud, but all he saw was sincerity. Still, something did not add up. Why give it to me at all? Why not just talk to me? Luna gazed down, her fingers twisted together. "I like you, Will. More than I should. I hoped that the mint would help you open up and view me in a fresh manner. But I botched up. I had no idea it would hurt you that way." Her confession hit him like a punch in the chest. Did she like him? The thought sent a jolt through him, but it was swiftly replaced with skepticism. "Luna, I must know the truth. Was there anything else inside that mint? Is there something you are not telling me?" She shook her head, her eyes shimmering from unshed tears. I swear, Will. It was only herbs. My aunt would prepare these for rare occasions. She claimed they brought out your actual feelings. I thought it'd help us connect. Will ran his palm over his face, attempting to digest her words. True feelings? Was this why he had seen Electra? Because deep down he was still clinging on to her? The concept made him ill. He didn't want to be that man who couldn't let go of his past. I believe you, he finally murmured, his tone softening. However, I need some time to work things out. Last night, it brought up a lot of stuff I thought I had buried. Luna nodded, wiping her eyes. I understand. I'm so sorry, Will. I never intended to hurt you. He wanted to reach for her and assure her everything was fine, but he couldn't. Not yet. Instead, he turned and left the office, his head filled with mixed emotions. As he stepped back into the busy studio, he noticed a familiar face in the doorway. Rich Forrester, the company's creative director and Luna's mentor. Will, Rich began, his voice a familiar blend of charm and power. Heard you had quite a night. Will forced a smile, but it did not reach his eyes. News travels fast. Rich put a hand on his shoulder. This is Los Angeles, my friend. Nothing remains secret for long. You okay? Will responded, I will be. But he wasn't sure if he believed it. Just need to clear my head. Rich nodded sympathetically. Luna is a wonderful child, but she has her own troubles. Give her the chance to explain herself. And maybe take a vacation from the mystery candies, right? Will chuckled despite himself, but the humor immediately fled. As he exited the studio and emerged into the bright California sun, he couldn't shake the notion that there was more to Luna's story, and that meant, than she was revealing. He needed answers and he would not stop until he found them. Over the next few days, Will immersed himself in his work, attempting to distract himself from the jumble of his emotions. But Luna was never far from his mind. He repeated their interaction in the studio, analyzing every word and glance. She appeared genuine, but something about her reluctance, and the way she avoided his gaze at times, bothered him. He decided to do some digging. If Luna's background was a mystery, as Brooke had hinted, perhaps there were hints to be discovered. He began with her portfolio, which was publicly available on the Forrester Creations website. Her designs were flawless, a combination of modern beauty and vintage romance that gained her praise from both critics and clients. However, there was little information about her personal history, no mention of where she had studied, no family background, and nothing beyond her arrival in Los Angeles a year ago. Next, he contacted a private investigator he had previously engaged, Marcus, a quiet expert with a talent for discovering secrets. I need you to look into someone, Will replied, his voice low over the phone. I'm Luna Nozawa. She is a designer for Forrester Creations. I'm curious about her background, relationships, and any peculiar circumstances. Marcus did not ask any questions. He never did. Give me 1 week, he said. I'll get you what you need. Will was unable to completely avoid Luna while awaiting Marcus's report. They met at a Forrester board meeting, where she displayed her current collection with such quiet assurance that his chest ached. She didn't meet his gaze, but he could sense the weight of her presence, like a symphony he couldn't stop singing. After the meeting, he met her in the corridor. Can we talk, Luna? She hesitated and then nodded. Okay, but not here. They wound up in a small cafe near the workplace, tucked into a corner booth where the buzz of discussion provided a sense of privacy. Luna sipped her coffee with her fingers securely wrapped around the mug. I've been thinking about what you said, Will said, carefully selecting his words. About the mint. About your aunt. I want to believe you, Luna, but I have to understand. Why is your past so mysterious? Her eyes met his, and for a brief instant, he believed she'd leave. But then she groaned, her shoulders sagging. It isn't a mystery, really. I just don't enjoy discussing it. My aunt raised me after my parents died. She was a really quirky herbalist. She educated me about plants and their qualities. That is where the mint comes from. It's not a big conspiracy, Will. It's just my life. He scrutinized her, looking for any hint of deception, but her eyes remained fixed, her voice gentle but forceful. Okay, he finally replied. But if there's more to it, Luna, please be honest with me. I can't take another betrayal. Her expression softened as she reached across the table, resting her hand lightly on his. I am not Electra, Will. I won't damage you like she did. The contact of her fingers shot a spark through him, and for a moment, he allowed himself to believe her. But as they left the cafe, Marcus' phone buzzed with a text message. I have something on Luna. Call me. Will's heart fell. Marcus suspected that whatever he had discovered would change everything. When he met Marcus later that day, the investigator gave him a tiny folder. Marcus said, Luna Nozawa. His voice neutral. Born in San Francisco, she was raised by her aunt Poppy Nozawa. After her parents were killed in a car accident when she was 10. Poppy is a bit of a character. She runs a holistic business in Venice Beach that sells herbal treatments and teas. There is no criminal record, but she has been on the radar of certain local health inspectors for selling unlicensed supplements. We'll flick through the folder, studying the pages. Is there anything else? Marcus paused. There is one thing. Poppy's shop has a connection to ELECTRA'S. Will's blood went cold. Electra? My Electra? Marcus nodded. It appears Poppy delivered herbs to a boutique in Milan where Electra worked a few years ago. It's a tenuous relationship, but it's there. Will's thoughts raced. Was it feasible that Luna knew Electra? Had she handed him that mint knowing it would bring back thoughts of his ex? The concept made his stomach turn, but he couldn't reconcile it with the lady he'd grown to know, the woman who had looked at him with such vulnerability in the cafe. He needed to confront her again, but this time he'd be more prepared. No more impetuous kisses, and no more allowing his emotions to cloud his judgment. He made plans to meet Luna at her place, a small but fashionable loft in downtown Los Angeles. She adorned with her own designs and diverse accents that reflected her artistic attitude. When she opened the door, her grin was cautious but welcoming. Will, I'm glad you came. He did not return the smile. Luna, I need the truth. Did you know ELECTRA'S? Her eyes widened and for a moment, she resembled a deer caught in headlights. Electra? How do you know about her? My investigator found a connection, he replied, his voice firm but frigid. Electra worked in a Milan boutique that received herbs from your aunt's shop. Did you know her? Is this why you handed me the mint? Luna's face turned pale, and she slid into the couch, her hands twitching. Will, I promise I did not know Electra. I knew about her. My aunt mentioned her once or twice, claiming she was a client who liked her herbal mixtures. But I've never met her. I didn't realize she was your ex until you mentioned her that night. He wanted to believe her, but the coincidence was too strong. So why did that mint make me see her? Why was it messing with my head like that? I do not know. Luna's voice trembled and tears streamed down her cheeks. I told you that was merely to help you relax. Perhaps it reminded you of something you still hold on to. My aunt used to remark that her blends could release emotions and bring hidden feelings to the surface. I didn't expect it to do that to you. Will paced the room, his mind torn between uncertainty and optimism. Luna, I'd like to trust you. But it's too much. First the mint and now this tie to Electra? It feels like I'm being played. She stood, her eyes filled with hurt and hatred. I am not playing you, Will. I care about you. I handed you that mint hoping it would help you let go of whatever was making you so guarded. I didn't realize it would hurt you, and I had no idea about Electra. But if you don't trust me, perhaps we don't have anything to talk about. Her comments struck him hard, and for a moment he was unable to speak. He wanted to believe her, to let go of the past and accept her for who she was. But Electra had left deep scars, and the mint had reopened them in unexpected ways. I need time, he finally said, his voice scratchy. I need to figure this out. Luna nodded, her look a combination of resignation and grief. Take as much time as you need, Will. But don't expect me to wait indefinitely. He left her apartment feeling more lost than before. Over the next week, he immersed himself in work, avoiding Luna and the questions that troubled him. But the more he attempted to suppress his emotions, the more they rose to the surface. He couldn't stop thinking about her laugh, her talent, and the way she looked at him with hope in the cafe. Finally, he resolved to confront the root of his doubts. Poppy Nozawa. He drove to Venice Beach, where Poppy's business, Moonlit Remedies, was nestled between a yoga studio and a vegan cafe. The air inside was thick with the aroma of lavender and sage, and Poppy herself exuded bohemian charm. Long silver hair, flowing skirts, and eyes that seemed to look right through him. "You must be Will," she began before he could introduce himself, her tone pleasant but knowing. "Luna told me about you." "I need answers," he remarked, getting to the point. "About the mint you created. About Electra." Poppy's smile remained constant, but her eyes grew sharper. The mint was a basic blend of lavender, chamomile, and a touch of passion flower. It's intended to calm and open the heart. If it brought back memories of Electra, it's because your heart hasn't let her go. Will's jaws constricted. "And Electra? Did you know her?" Poppy nodded, unaffected. "She was a client in Milan. She enjoyed my mixtures and that they helped her think clearly. But I haven't seen her for years. Whatever happened between you and Luna is not about Electra. It is about you." Her comments hit him like a slap, and for the first time he considered that perhaps the problem wasn't Luna or the mint, but himself. He'd been so preoccupied with protecting himself from another betrayal that he'd driven away the one person who had made him feel alive again. He thanked Poppy before leaving, his thoughts clearer but his heart heavier. That night he called Luna and asked her to meet him at the beach where they had first spoken months earlier, beneath a starry sky. When she came, she appeared hesitant yet eager, with her hair loose and wafting in the ocean breeze. "Will, what do you want?" she inquired, her tone sweet yet guarded. "I want to start over," he murmured, moving closer. "I've been allowing my past to control me, and I took it out on you. The mint didn't fool me into seeing Electra. It forced me to see her because I was unwilling to let her go. But I'm ready now. I want to see you, Luna. Just you." Her eyes met his, and for a brief instant, he feared she might turn away. But then she smiled, a faint, timid smile that brightened the evening. "Okay," she replied. "But no more mints." He laughed, raw and genuine, and drew her into his arms. As they stood there, the waves smashing at their feet, Will felt something shift inside him. A weight lifted, a new beginning emerging. The past was not gone, but it no longer defined him. With Luna by his side, he was prepared to face whatever came next.